Hey, I'm Richie with Raw Tactics. Welcome back. Today I have Chris with me. He is a law enforcement officer and he's also a SWAT officer, and also he's a competition shooter. He is sponsored by Superville Ammunition. He's a part of the Staccato law enforcement team. I don't know if you've heard of Staccato, but it's kind of a, I don't know, an up-and-coming firearm thing. You can maybe check them out, I'm not sure. But today we're gonna be answering the age-old question and discussing the difference between competition shooting and tactical shooting, and also debating, does the competition tactics roll over into law enforcement? And if I roll these tactics over into law enforcement, will I get shot? And you want to know the answer to that? I guess you're gonna have to stay tuned. Like, subscribe, comment, tell us how good my hair looks. His hair is usually better than mine, but he's repping the Padres hat today. But stay tuned to the end and tell me what you think. All right, so before we get started, I think we can agree on one thing to start off with. Before you even X out the video and everything else, let's agree on one thing. You shoot on the move in the law enforcement side, and you shoot on the move in the competition side. Can we agree on that? Hopefully the answer is yes. However, it is my belief that there's only two types of shooting on the move. The first type is when you're actually moving and shooting, whether you are aggressing the target, you're moving away from the target, or you're moving left and right to the target. However, I think that moving towards the target while shooting is an overtrained and practically ill-applied tactic, especially when it comes to the law enforcement side. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But when it comes to the competition side, this is where the other side of the coin comes in the shooting on the move, is that you have the shooting the move while you are actually moving, but then there is moving to a fixed location and then shooting immediately once you get to that location. Now on the competition side, Chris, you probably do a little bit of both.
Yes, I do a lot of engaging targets on the move, or if I'm trying to get to a location, you know, I would slowly stop and start to engage a target as I'm getting into position.
So you're probably shooting on the move, engaging the target in the competition side, but I like what you said is you're going from point A to point B, but when you get to point B, you're actually shooting prior to arriving at point B. And that's just something for the competition side to help speed up your time and everything else. Because you can definitely, on the competition side, run from point A to point B, stop at point B, set your feet, get a good platform, get your sights, and pull the trigger, which is the intent. But you can obviously have some hacks to where you're arriving at point B, but you're still shooting on the move as you're kind of slowing down into that position. Yeah,
essentially you're just saving a lot of time. You're trying to find the most efficient way to engage your target while you're moving during your movement training.
Yeah, that I know you kind of stumbled on that, but it makes sense to me. If it makes sense to me, and I have no idea about competition shooting, but if it makes sense to me, hopefully it makes sense to you. So I like that. Let's talk about that right now. So let's talk about moving from point A to point B and then engaging the target once you arrive to point B. Because, for example, you're not going to, if we're accountable for every round, whether you're law enforcement, whether you're civilian, any round that you shoot, and I'm trying to shoot whatever target that I'm shooting and I miss and I hit an unintended target, whether you're a cop or not, you're still gonna be responsible for that round.
Absolutely.
The last thing I want is for some responsibly armed citizen to be defending themselves in the Walmart parking lot and they shoot the bad guy, but they miss 2 or 3 times and one of those rounds comes and clips me on the side of the head when I'm loading up my groceries into the car. I definitely wouldn't want that to happen. I wouldn't want it to happen to you or anything else. So when we're shooting on the move, so say for example, you're at the 25-yard line at point A and you need to get to the 15 or 10-yard line at point B. Yeah. You're not gonna start at the 25-yard line and sprint while shooting to that 10-yard line to point B.
Absolutely not. You may have a moving target at that point.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So, and I'm gonna want you to show it. So if we're at point A to point B, we're gonna wanna get to point B as quickly as possible, but once we arrive at point B, we want to get that shot off as soon as possible, right? And how do you do that in the competition world to save time and everything else?
Well, in the competition world, like we do everything we can to save time. We do explosive movements, but if we're coming into I would say shooting an array where you have to stop because you have, you know, hard cover targets, no shoots, and you know, you got poppers and all that stuff, you want to start bleeding your target out. So before I go into that, I'm gonna tell you why we prefer to do that. Because when I first started competition shooting, I shot like a cop. I shot like a cop. So when I would, it's all clear?
Yep.
So when I would get into position, I'd run, I'd stop, and I'm standing so erect, my energy's still pushing forward, causes me to dip down and kind of reacquire my sights.
Because you're trying to get like a stable, the best shooting platform as possible.
Yes. So as you know, I shot more competition, taking a couple classes, you know, read some Steve Anderson books. You know, I learned a lot about bleeding out your energy and shooting on the move.
Okay.
So the difference is when the competition, what we're taught is to stay low. Staying low, like anything else in sports, staying low is like preached. You know, playing football, you always want to stay low, right? Same thing in competition. You want to have that more agility by just staying low. So
does it help your center of gravity? Help you stay more balanced, stable as you're moving the lower you get?
Yes, because you don't want this shoot, drop, move. You want to just start moving right away.
That's that explosive movement you were talking about.
So, so if we're going to point A to point B, you know, we're running really hard, and when that's happening, what you're doing is you're already target focused. You already want to bring your gun up, and you want to bleed out your energy. So when you're bleeding out your energy, it stabilizes you. So as soon as you come to that stop, you could probably take that shot. Boom.
So bleeding out your energy essentially just means start chopping your steps and slowing down.
Yes, I'll give you an example. So as I'm running, I'm gonna go, I would say a semi-full speed.
Yeah, nothing major.
So I would just go and then bleed out your energy.
Right, so if point B is right here, you're starting to bleed out your energy well beforehand in order to possibly take your shot. So if you start bleeding out your energy, say 6 feet in front of it, you can possibly start shooting on the move, but you're slowing down, dropping your center of gravity, and taking that shot prior to arriving to your point of no return, which is that point B. Versus
running and doing
trying to stop.
Like,
absolutely. So me being a law enforcement shooter, I'd probably want to do that. So we'll take this for example. So come over here, Nick. So we'll take this for example. So we're going to use these barrels as our area of cover. We want to run from point A where we are to point B to this area of cover behind these barrels and engage that white steel. Now, like we were talking about earlier, I probably wouldn't draw my gun here and start sprinting as I'm shooting on the move, because yeah, I may hit the target, but also then again, I'm probably gonna miss.
Yeah.
I don't think probably the best shooters that you can think of on the competition side, on the law enforcement side, I don't know anyone who's 100% while sprinting and shooting.
I can't really say yes or no because they probably do exist, so I don't want to.
That's off the top of our head. Yeah, okay, I get it.
You know, like
they probably exist.
Yeah,
but it ain't me. Is it you?
It's not the average guy out there with a gun.
It ain't. I hope if it's. I mean, if it is you, I don't know why you're watching this video, but I appreciate it. But so from the law enforcement side, so I'll show that real quick. I get to my position, I stop, I fire, and I shoot.
Yeah.
Which, in the competition side, I've lost a lot of time doing that.
You've already disturbed your shooting platform by like skidding through.
And then depending on how you're applying it in the law enforcement setting, whatever example you can think of, I possibly lost valuable seconds getting to my position and then pausing in order to take that shot of what I needed. All right, let's focus on the bleeding out the energy tactic, because I think that is something that is obviously used in the competition side, but definitely can be used in the law enforcement side.
Absolutely, yes.
Like I said, whatever situation you can think of to where you need to run from point A to point B and take a shot as quickly as possible, you want to save as much time before you get to that point B, and you want to take that shot as soon as possible. So what we're going to work on is going from point A to point B and taking that shot while arriving to point B versus taking that shot once arrived at point B. So we're saving time there. So let's go. We're going to go from here to those barrels, which we're going to be considering our piece of cover, and our white steel about 10 yards away is our bad guy of what we need to do.
Okay.
So let's focus again on chopping those feet, bleeding out that energy.
Okay. If
you want to focus a little bit more on that, you can kind of show us what you're doing, and then I'll probably do it, and then I want you to kind of coach me through about what I'm doing wrong.
Okay.
Okay. So actually, we probably just start with just me doing it, and you tell me where we're going from there, because you're the expert here. So All right, cool. So I'm moving here.
Good.
All right.
So definitely good. You had your gun up. That's one thing we probably didn't cover is when you're bleeding out your brakes, bleeding out your energy. When you're bleeding out your energy.
This is not an auto repair video, but I get it.
When you're bleeding out your energy, you want to have your gun up. That will alleviate that delayed time, bringing it up last minute. So,
I think that's what I did when I first shot it, when I was doing the law enforcement side of it, is that I spent even more time, because once I'm so focused about the direction where my gun's pointed, that when I got into position, I'm worried about setting my feet, getting a good platform, and then having a good presentation and finding that dot or finding those iron sights.
Yeah.
So we should probably be picking those up as we're arriving.
As soon as you're arriving, you should already be like focused on your target. Depends on your shooting skill, on your skill level, if you could take that shot. That's totally up to you. I can't tell you when and when not to take it.
Okay,
That's
good
totally
point.
up to you. So usually for me, I'm confident enough to take it while I'm getting into position. That's just me. I have confidence in my shooting ability by doing that.
So what do I need to do better on that run from what you saw?
So from there, probably widen up your base a little bit.
Okay.
Your base was just a little bit too narrow. You know, you want to have the most stable platform and try to settle in, get a little bit lower. Not too much, but somewhere to a point where you could stabilize yourself.
Let's do it. All right. All right, so I'm working on when I'm getting there, bleeding out my energy, getting a little bit lower, and having a wider platform.
Yes.
All right, let's do it. So I'm here, moving.
There we go.
Whew. I thought
Had
I
a
was gonna
little
miss
bit
that
of
one.
stop there. It was good execution. You still had a lot of energy coming in.
Yeah.
Probably bleed it out a little bit sooner.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about show me how it's done.
I don't know about that, but all right. So it's gun out, right? All right, here we go.
Oh, Jesus. That was fast. That was good. All right, yeah, so I can see even right here, you started, I can just tell by the gravel that you started bleeding out about right here, which is about 6, 7, maybe 8 feet away from when you actually took the shot. So you can see where you started shuffling and slowing down that energy till you finally, I think you stood just like this when you took that shot.
So a lot of this plays into knowing where you're at, what kind of terrain you're dealing with. I started to bleed my energy out a little bit more. We're on gravel, so I have to like take that in consideration when I'm moving around. It really depends where you're at. Grassy area, it's more slippery, so just consider those factors while you're doing this.
Environment, it definitely plays a factor there.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna try it one more time, and then I'm gonna, hopefully it'll be the third time that I've ran it, and then I'm gonna go back to the way it's taught in law enforcement to get that stable platform. I'm just gonna kind of feel the difference myself.
Okay.
And go from there. So, all right, so one more time of bleeding out that energy. We're going.
Hey, there we go.
So, is it okay to...
You could take another step if your energy's still pushing forward.
Okay, that's exactly what I was gonna ask, because I normally don't shoot with my right foot in front of my left foot.
But it's possible.
But it is very possible, and that's the position I found myself into, where I had a good, and then I wanted to shoot here, but I wasn't comfortable, and I ended up taking that extra step, but still staying stable to take that shot. So it is okay.
Yeah, it is okay. There's nothing absolute in shooting. There's no firm, like this is the way it is. It's just a concept, and it depends how you want to train that concept. Some concepts work, some concepts don't. Whatever works for you best.
All right, so now I'm just gonna go get to my position, point A to point B, set my feet, take that shot.
Yeah. Okay. See that delay?
Absolutely.
There's
a huge delay. It felt like a lifetime. I was like, am I gonna shoot?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel like I like that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Moving and bleeding out the energy prior to the shot, it helps. I learned that from competition shooting, taking classes, and obviously, like majority of you guys probably don't know who Steve Anderson is, but he found a way how to like be more efficient with competition shooting. So books are great, take classes. That's pretty much where I learned all of it, and constantly shooting matches.
Is there anything that they can do at their house without shooting to work on bleeding out this energy?
Absolutely, they could do that in their house. You could put up anything like a little post-it note on your wall and start practicing bleeding out your energy. You could go in your garage, your backyard. Like it doesn't have to be constantly at the range. Dry practice is better than no practicing.
All right, so quick recap. 2 different types of shooting on the move. There's a type of shooting on the move to where you are actually moving while shooting, either aggressing the target, which is overtrained and overplayed. I can't think of a situation. Actually, let's sit on that before I recap. Let's rewind for a second. So, in law enforcement, which you've been for how many years?
I'm going on 9.
9 years, and you were in the military prior to that?
12 years.
12 years. So 21 years total experience when it comes to some sort of law enforcement military experience. So 21 years total. I'm on 18 years, so around the same time. Can you think of a situation to where you would be aggressing the target while shooting, like we talked about earlier, to where you're heel to toe, you're dropping your base, and you're just bang, 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 and shooting?
All the stars and moon and sun have to align just right, giving me a perfect open target with a empty backdrop. But realistically, I've never had to face that moment. But chances are, as law enforcement, we deal with the public and people around. So
houses, cars, general public,
a lot of
businesses.
Considerations. So moving and shooting, that's going to be a tough call. That's the individual's call. I personally wouldn't do it because I have to answer for all those bullets.
I can't even think of a situation if you wanted to where you would want to aggress that target while shooting. I mean, you got to take into consideration your distance, your environment, and the suspect's actions, and that's going to kind of equal your actions. Yeah. And like I said, if we're at the 35-yard line and bad guy is 35 yards away,
distance is my friend.
Yeah, distance is my friend. Am I going to walk from the 35 to the 15-yard line while shooting and a straight line towards that bad guy while he's engaging me?
No.
Probably not. I'll probably, if I want to move, I'll probably go lateral, left or right, or I'll try to find some sort of environmental factor, some sort of cover to get behind. And in that case, then we're doing the other side of the coin. We are moving to a set location and then engaging from there.
Yes, finding some sort of cover.
So I mean, if you can think of a situation to where you would actually be shooting on the move while aggressing the target in the civilian side or law enforcement side, please let me know. Drop a comment below and let me know what that situation could be. Some people, they argue, okay, it's a hostage rescue shot. I got to get closer to deliver that hostage rescue shot. And so I ask, okay, so you're gonna shoot numerous rounds on the move when you have this target here and you got to hit the head on the move while shooting? That's very hard to do.
Yeah, you have to be really in tune with your gun and have a lot of confidence behind that shot because you get that one shot, that one try.
They'll probably be on the other side of the coin to where, okay, I'm gonna go from the 35-yard line to the 10-yard line as quickly as possible. Then once I reach that position, I'm gonna bleed out my energy and take that one precise shot if needed. In a perfect world example, but like I said, I can't think of a situation to where I'm actually shooting the move while aggressing the target. That's where I think it's overtrained and kind of overplayed in the sense to where it's being shot in the wrong context. But on the other side, you can actually move to a set location, bleed out your energy, and take that shot while still on the move, bleeding out that energy. And then if you need to, plant your feet after that first shot is gone and then deliver follow-up rounds to go there. So I like that a lot. So now let's recap and let's talk about kind of we talked about some of the pros when it comes to the competition shooting. Let's talk about the cons. Now correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a huge competition shooter. I think I've shot one match with you.
Yeah.
I didn't do too bad. I think, I don't know what place I was in, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't last. It wasn't first. It wasn't last. So I'm happy with fiddle in the middle. But in competition shooting, before you shoot your match, you are allowed to kind of walk the stage.
Yes.
See where the targets are.
Yeah.
Kind of game plan. Okay, I'm going to shoot here. I have 3 targets on the left, 1 target here, a target on the right. I'm going to reload here. I'm going to shoot as many rounds here. I'm going to transition here. So is that right?
Yes, you have a 5-minute preparatory time to plan out your stage.
Okay, and in law enforcement, when do we get our 5-minute preparatory time?
Never.
Yeah, that doesn't exist. So that's something in competition that doesn't translate over.
Yeah.
Another thing that doesn't translate over in competition, in my opinion, is if you have an open target in the competition world, is there a set amount of rounds that you have to fire?
So it's the best 2 shots on the target.
The best 2 shots. So if I have to so it's 2 shots per target usually?
2 shots per target.
So if I have a wide open target, A zone, C zone, D zone target up there, what are those targets called? IPSC?
IPSC, yeah.
IPSC
I call them
targets?
attack.
The TAC?
I call them attack.
Okay, cool.
It's not, I didn't make that up.
But why is that? What is it, TAC?
Attack, that's exactly what it is. It's your attack and your control. This is also learned from JJ Rakaza. This is something you're gonna have to go take your own class.
I know him as Simon. So, but great competition shooter. So if you have that attack or TAC? Attack target to where it's wide open and I need to put 2 rounds on target, I can technically shoot 10 rounds at it.
Technically, but you're losing time. But
I am losing time, but in the competition world, say out of those 10 rounds I fire, I have 7 of them that are complete misses off target, 1 of them in a D zone, and 2 of them in the A zone. They're going to count those 2 A zones.
Yes.
I don't get penalized for the D zone or the 7 that I missed off target.
No, just
for an open
best,
target.
Best 2, yeah.
I can't do that in law enforcement.
Yeah.
I can't say, okay, well, I hit them, but I fired 7 rounds off target and possibly 1 that almost missed them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would be bad. So that's another thing in competition to where you need to definitely, in competition, you can kind of, not necessarily spray and pray, but if you are worried about time, you can fire as many rounds as you want, reload as many times as you want in order to get those 2 best shots on target before you move on to the next stage, right?
Yeah. And, like, essentially, like, yeah, it is the best 2, but, when you're shooting competition, the more rounds you let off, if that target desire is only 2 rounds and you shoot 10, you're losing time.
Yeah.
A lot of the, I'm going to stand up for these guys because I'm on that side too.
Do it.
So we as competition shooters, we do our best to make those first 2 shots count. And misses, we definitely don't like missing either.
Awesome. So I think we hit a lot of good points here between the competition side and the tactical side and law enforcement. And our final question, the age-old question of, if I apply these good tactics that we talked about today, especially with getting to a point of location, bleeding out that energy and taking that shot, if I apply that to law enforcement, will I be okay?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that there are 2 different types. There's 2 different. We're talking about competition and the tactic side. So, majority of those competition shooters understand that there is a difference between the 2. Pure performance competition and, this is your life-threatening type
situation,
of deal. Like we understand that, on the tactical side, you have to consider shooting in depth, your angles, your cover and concealment, loose rounds, shooting in the air. Like we understand that. A lot of us aren't just like Johnny on the go and blazing saddles, but I've learned from the competition side of how to process, like when I take whatever I learned from the competition side and put it towards a tactical side, I learned how to manipulate my gun more efficiently, move more efficiently. I'm more confident behind my gun. I process things a lot smoother because in a competition, everything's coming at you really quick. But when I apply it to the tactical side, everything's a lot more smoother. I'm processing everything.
Basically, you're just practicing.
I'm practicing.
You're practicing. You're taking the good things from the competition side, and you're leaving the bad things when it comes to the tactical side, and you're applying the good things to the bad. Just like any class you take, you're not going to like everything that's taught. You're going to take the good things that you like. You're going to try to apply it to yourself, and you're kind of flush out the stuff you don't agree with. Yeah.
And for the tactical side, I wouldn't take, slicing the pie. I wouldn't take none of that towards the competition side because
you're wasting time.
I'm wasting time.
That's a great point too. You're rounding those corners and you also know that the target is right there too, and you're going to start bleeding out that energy and shooting.
Yeah.
So if an everyday cop is watching this right now, and you say that, hey, if you need to run from point A to point B and you're on patrol or you're in any type of unit and you start bleeding out your energy, do we feel that that is a better tactic than actually just getting there, planting your feet, and taking that shot, if that shot needs to be taken right now?
As a police officer, yes.
Good.
I think that should be taught, other than running and doing a hard stop. You know, there's a lot of things we could learn from the competition and apply it to law enforcement. I'm not saying all of it, but some of the efficiencies that the competition world brings. But that bleeding out your energy, I 100% agree with it. It's better for accuracy and less likely of a missed shot.
Awesome. So, hey, Chris, I really appreciate you coming out here and dropping some knowledge bombs on us when it comes to the competition side and taking your law enforcement experience and mixing the two together. Hopefully you guys learned a little something. I definitely did. I'm gonna be working on bleeding out that energy. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, follow Chris at his Instagram, follow him on any social media platform he has. He definitely shoots good. He posts his matches when it comes to his competition stuff, and this kid definitely knows what he's talking about. Chris, thanks again.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you
Thanks
coming
for having me here.
And you guys stay safe, and we will talk to you later.